we are doing a drone system that can fully operate by itself. What we've done is we've come up with a concept, and then it's a drone with a box. So this is a drone in a box solution, which the drone will fly and then do the mission, comes back to the box and then recharges, and then also swaps the battery by itself. We use four key technologies. The first one is that we have our own robotics. The robotics will help to change the batteries inside the drone box, inside the box. We call the box Olympus, so you can treat it as a bird nest lah. Venus will be the bird. Venus is the drone. This is Venus, and then Olympus is the docking station. We have the robotics. We also rely on cloud, which is the Internet of Things. We rely on cloud, and then also we have AI with a deep learning algorithm, and then finally we build our own software to combine all these four things together to fully automate the whole process. As for the AI, it helps us to analyze the data. For example, if you want to recognize cars, or you want to recognize trees or people, our AI will be able to do it. It is not necessary anymore for us to bring the data back to the office and then spend a lot of hours to post-process the data. It is done all with the AI in real time. When I was doing my PhD, I spent a lot of hours charging battery. I need to also go out to the field and fly my drone. I was flying a fixed-wing drone. It flies quite fast, and then the battery just depleted very quickly. So I need to prepare a lot of batteries, and then I need to bring a lot of batteries over to the site to change every time I fly. So this is a very huge hassle. So I was thinking that if I have something like a pit stop, like an F1 car pit stop that can refuel and then also do the maintenance for the drone, and how awesome will that be, right?
MyDroneX event, I think, would be one of the best platforms that we have, because number one, we have many aspects of the event. You're bringing all the players, all the stakeholders that we talked about, be it the experts, companies, corporations, clients, service providers, academias, all in one place to talk about drones and what it can do.
Having an event, the MyDroneX, it gives an opportunity for people to become more aware, right? And from awareness, we hope that it will lead to adoption. You can expect to learn and unlearn a lot of things regarding drone tech.
The Malaysian industry for drone is growing rapidly. Most of it companies, in terms of Malaysian companies providing drone services, utilizing drones that are imported from outside, and also moving towards manufacturing and assembling Malaysian-made drones.
The drone tech industry globally is worth 127 billion USD, and that is based on a study done by PwC. Of course, I think it will also have a huge impact to Malaysia in the sense that harnessing the power of drone tech, it enables us to actually do things better, do it faster as well as do it cheaper.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Our webinar today is actually in conjunction with Smart Nation, and we are going to discuss today with our panelists regarding drone security surveillance. Assalamualaikum and welcome everyone. My name is Farhan and I am from MDAC's Drone Tech team, and we are really happy to be here today. And while I still have the chance, I would like to wish everyone selamat menyambut Hari Kemerdekaan yang ke-63 dan selamat Hari Malaysia from all of us here in MDAC. And today with me, I have a few panelists with us today. We have Mr. Saravanan, who is the CEO and Drone Solution Specialist from vStream Revolution. And he's been around in the security management industry for the past 16 years and doing a lot of research and R&D regarding drone security surveillance, autonomous security surveillance, and having 4 years in drone solutions for commercial especially. And he's also in the business of drone insurance. Hi, Mr. Saravanan, how are you?
Hi, Wan, how are you?
Good, good.
Hi,
good.
Firdaus and Doctor. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me here. And,
all right.
Thanks.
And from Forfang, we have Mr. Dr. Xian Li. How are you, Dr. Xian? All right, Dr. Xian have been in the industry for quite some time. And I think the Forfang, the company has been developing a lot of great solution. And if you with us a few minutes earlier, we had shared a video that Forfang did during MyDroneX last year. They unveiled their newest product, which is called the Venus. Am I right, Dr. Xian?
Yes, that is right.
All right. And last but not least, we have Firdaus Ismail, the Business Development Manager from Drone Technology Malaysia. And he is actually a very young entrepreneur, a BD professional, previously based in Middle East and currently working for Drone, which is one of the biggest, and if I'm mistaken, the second biggest drone services provider in the world. And currently they are carrying the name Drone Malaysia, setting up the first Drone entity in Malaysian land. So, but before I go further, let me share with you why we are doing this Malaysia Drone Tech initiative currently in MDAC. Because we want to share that we are currently trying to accelerate the growth of Malaysia's drone tech industry and trying to position Malaysia as the drone tech epicenter and the launch pad to the ASEAN market. And for everyone's benefit, I think we'll go casually, one by one. Why don't we go to our first panelist, Mr. Saravanan. Why don't you share a little bit about the company, what you're doing, and how the company is currently revolutionizing the security industry in Malaysia. Yeah, Mr. Saravanan.
Yeah, thanks, man. It all started when I was doing my security and surveillance solutions for the past 16 years, and I happened to go to an exhibition in Middle East. It started with me going for a security exhibition, and I saw that drone was used as part of security solutions. So once I come back, then I started studying about it, trying to understand how I can merge the current security solutions and the drone. I find that there's a gap on that in Malaysia, especially, and also eye in the sky to capture a better situational awareness when the drone is on air. It can become a very good first responder, especially to understand what is happening, what kind of threat it is, and how do we actually respond to it. So in 2018, we started VStream, and we started working on solutions for drones. Prior to that, I was doing some research on how to bring the drone and also use 4G for transmissions of videos. And currently, we have secured a project in a port environment. We have more than 1,000 flights since our last project has started. And we are also now a consultant for another port to come up with the first Malaysian drone air unit. This is a good progress for us.
Good. Really good to know, because I'm not sure if the audiences know, but currently the drone security industry is set to account for like 10 billion US dollar, just behind the top verticals like infrastructure, agriculture, and transport. And to understand further, I think why don't we go to Dr. Xian? Why don't you share a bit about your company? 2 minutes.
Yeah, hello guys. We design and build unmanned aircraft systems in Malaysia. Can you hear me? Am I loud and clear?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, good. So currently I'm sitting at my workshop. It's a huge mess. It's always a huge mess. We are always working on new designs. We get things done very quickly. We do our own batteries from scratch. All right, sure, yeah. There we go. My guys, they're working on. Here is a motor, and that's FR4. It's fiberglass, and that's coding. And here this is a working on some drawings, and here we have some antennas and things like that. And that's our whiteboard. We haven't had the time to screw it up yet. And there is where we, can you see, there is where we make our, we work. Yeah,
Great, man.
so
Great.
things like that. We still have one more floor with a lot of machineries and things like that to, you know, hammer stuff with drill and grill. So yeah, what we are good at is we are really good at designing and building our own stuff. We do the hardware and the software by ourselves. We have a total understanding of what is going on. What we really need is a lot of talent, a lot of. We need people with passion as well. You need to be passionate about looking at things that go up into the sky. It's really cool when you know that's going up and it's doing something good. Like for example, you're going to send stuff in the air, or you're going to look at things providing security. That is one thing drones are really good at. So like what Farhan has said, it's true. Drone security is poised to be about 10 billion US, right? So it's going to be a big market, and then people are going to rely more and more on aerial security, where you can look at a lot of things because you're up there, right? You're up there, and then your field of view is huge. You're looking at things like that instead of like this. If you're on the motorcycle, you're looking at things like this direction, this angle. You're quite limited. But if you're looking from up there, you're looking at this. You can see lots of and then coupled with the AI that we have built in-house, we have this deep learning algorithm that is able to identify threats. It's going to be a very useful tool. And then our security guys will be more like dispatching, more for dispatching, you know, going out to solve problems instead of looking at CCTVs all day long. It's a very boring job looking at CCTV. So I'd rather the AI to be doing that work. So,
Understood.
yeah, that's
Understood.
a very brief introduction of what we do.
Sure. We'll dive in further later. We've got 1 hour for me to grill you guys to find out more information about the industry. All right, next we go to Firdaus. Firdaus, how are you?
Okay.
All right. Okay, we hear you loud and clear. Why don't you share with us a little bit about TerraDrone Malaysia? You know, why are you guys here, and what have you guys been doing in this drone security industry from TerraDrone's perspective?
Thanks for your introduction, Farhan. So again, my name is Firdaus. I am responsible for business development for Malaysia. So a brief introduction of TerraDrone. So if you don't already know, TerraDrone started in Japan back in 5 years ago-ish. Japan, as you know, is a country where people embrace technology. In fact, people don't only embrace, but they create technology, right? So we are also in a place where there were a lot of natural disasters. We're talking, you know, tsunamis, earthquakes. Sometimes it happens on a monthly basis, sometimes on a weekly basis even. So because of that, the government allocated billions of dollars every year to, you know, for reconstruction and construction purposes, you know, bridges, roads, buildings, whatever. And then at the time, one of the requirement was to use technology like drones to make it more efficient. And being Japanese, embracing technology in group of people, it's easy to grow for the industry to grow. So within just 1 or 2 years, we grew to 7 offices across Japan. And then very quickly also we expanded. We went to India. We worked with, partnered and in fact invested into one of the leading drone service providers in India. And then we went to Indonesia. We also invested into one of the leading drone service providers in India. And then we did the same thing to a few other countries. And then the next thing you know, we are in 15 countries strong. So Malaysia is our latest expansion. We just started right before the lockdown, COVID-19, back in February. Interesting enough, just 2 days after our incorporation, legally incorporated in February, just 2 days, we got a job, actually a survey job, when we didn't even have a pilot at the time. You know, we were brand new, and then we had to get our team and crews from Indonesia to help us to do the job, to finish the job. It was completed, and then the next thing happened was COVID-19, and then now after the lockdown was already lifted, we're back in business. Yesterday we just did our Terradon Tech Day 2020. You can look it up on the internet. It went also very successfully. And back to your question also, security and surveillance is one of the areas that we are going to be, venturing into, penetrating into. I'll speak more on that. I think that's probably more or less about us.
All right, thank you so much, Firdaus. And I think just for everyone's information, because if you talk about drones, back like 3 to 5 years ago, even I remembered when I ventured into the drone industry, one of the pitch that I used to do to one of the my early proposed investors or angels back then, I showed them this video about, I don't know if anyone remembers, the 2007 Transformers, the first Transformers movies. The scene where the Scorponok came, and then they used a drone to go into the desert to recce the condition and the situation before they send in the big guns to come and destroy the Decepticons, right? So, because in a lot of people's mind, drones have that connotation of something that is dangerous, that's being used in military and warfare. But few years down the road, we are seeing the application from just being in defense and military now going into commercial and into the industry such as security and surveillance. So my question for Sarah, so how was it? How was it back then? So because you are from the security industry before, from the client's mind, the corporations, the ones that's not actually the clients are not in military and defense, but pushing the same technology to the market, to the commercial market. How was it? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that is something interesting, because when we go and meet our clients who are setting up security systems for mixed developments, or even areas which is critical infrastructures and so on. See, when first these sites are designed, they will have the maximum security that they do. So they will put all the cameras on the correct locations and so on. But then these sites, over the time, there is expansions. There are new buildings being built within that area, which at the current time do not have any infrastructure for the additional security, like cameras and so on. So there will be areas where they always want to have an additional surveillance to be done. That is where we go and introduce the drone. We say, you have an existing control system, control room, which have CCTV feeds and so on. But now you have a new site, there is a new threat to this site. Now, how do you make use of technology to help you? In a way, we call it digitalizing the surveillance industry. So we show them what drone can do and how, of course, it can be deployed to that site for them to see a better overview. And then, because of my experience on handling most of the video management systems, we have the knowledge on how to integrate that into the CCTV system. So the drone become part and parcel of the existing CCTV systems. So when we show that we can make it part of the existing ecosystem, the acceptance is very high on those kind of integrations. So it's not just showing a drone which can fly and give you a video. So you have to make the client really understand the bigger advantage. I have a slide. If it's allowed, I can show you. You can give a better picture of what I'm trying to say.
Why don't you share? One slide.
Okay, so you see, this is a perimeter. You see a camera, and this is the camera's field of view.
All
so
right.
This is what the camera sees. But when you have a drone flying above, it can have a larger coverage. So it can also see what's happening on the outer perimeter. So if any intrusion is happening here, you can realize what is happening to send the first responder here will be very beneficial. So I know how many people are out here trying to enter. So I send the right amount of security personnel to neutralize this threat. So it gives you a better coverage or field of view on a larger area. And it's a very good first responder. And it can cover a larger site in much more, in a faster way. So in this, when we explain to client on the benefits like this, yeah, they will accept it. That's a simple way of explaining with the existing CCTV systems around.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood. All right. Thank you, Saravanan.
No problem.
Okay, so I think in terms of technology itself, right? Because we understand now, when the clients are ready to accept, and the drones are going to come, and the products that's going to be used for these drone solutions, eventually you need to source it from your partners, from your product manufacturers. So I would like to ask Dr. Shen, so when you built your drones, what was the problem statement that you guys are trying to solve? And was it specific for this security and surveillance industry? Why don't you share a little bit?
There are three major problems. First, the battery life. Second, you need a human pilot. Third, you need to analyze the raw data. By going through the first problem, let's say the battery, if you're going to use a consumer drone, consumer level drones typically last about 2 to 5 kilometers. And that is quite little if you ask me. So what we're trying to do is really something that can fly much longer. And also, perhaps it will be better if you can have a pit stop, an automated airport that can help you to refuel the planes or maintain them, so that you can have a proper flight time without having the operators going through the hassle of charging and maintaining the batteries. So first thing will be the batteries. Second, the operators will be tired if you want them to fly every day, every hour. That's the human limitation. The bottleneck is that the human, we can't fight robots. That is why automation always kicks ass. It's going to be in the factory. If you want to increase the output of the factory, what to do? You apply robots in it. Even though it's more expensive at start, there'll be some capital costs, but in the long run, it will get lower and lower because you're getting more and more output. So to automate the whole process, that will be the second major problem to solve. We want to help to alleviate the work being done by the operators. Instead of having to hold on the joysticks all the time, we want them to be able to just push a start button, have the drones go out and do work. So that's a software problem. And the third will be analysis of the data that comes in. How do I know if this is a bad, this is a friendly, and things like that. You need a pair of eyes. Typically, you need someone to look at the TV screen. You need a brain to you need to waste a brain looking at the TV screen, saying that okay, there's nothing there. So probably it's a very tiring, it's a very mundane job, and people do get very tired when they do these kinds of work. These kinds of work are more suitable for computers to handle. So we're also solving the third problem, which is the data analytics. We want to be able to identify threats. We want to be able to identify friendlies. This is a false positive in a sense that we know by identifying the area that we know that okay, you don't want any cars or humans at this area. This particular area should not have anyone. So if we were to see any vehicles or people right there, it's probably going to be a threat. So it will send a message, a notification to the users, and then the users will be able to, now it's time to look at the TV screen, or you look at the live drones, and you can verify yourself, is this really a threat? So the third problem, data analytics part. So the three major problems that we're trying to.
Okay, I think we totally understand. But I got one before I go to Firdaus. I just would like to ask. So now you guys are building and manufacturing, assembling this drone, right? So to be able to meet market demand, which is going to grow, is there any plan to set up a production line to manufacture your drones in Malaysia?
Yes, of course. We have a plan of having a production line. We want to make use of economies of scale. Having technology, it's going to be expensive at first. So able to produce it at a much higher volume than everyone can enjoy this technology. We want to bring the prices down.
Good. I think which brings me back to forward to the next panelist, which is Firdaus from TerraDrone. So hopefully in the future, the TerraDrone group can consider Forfang's products as one of the future products to be included in the TerraDrone family.
We are speaking with them very, very aggressive.
Great. So moving forward, Firdaus, so because TerraDrone is a global company and has been around for some time. So in the global market right now, because in Malaysia, drone insecurity and surveillance is fairly new. But what about the global market out there? How is it the global market is accepting and using drones in security and surveillance?
Okay, but before I proceed, I want to talk about the technology side, because I like what Dr. Sheehan was describing, how he described about, at the beginning, he described about the line of sight, how, you know, like if you're on a motorbike, you can see linear, and then, you know, the normal human eye, there's only a very limited line of sight that we can see. But drone can see 360, and which is also added by Saravanan, because, you know, when we talk about security is not supposed to be linear. It's not supposed to be 180 degree. You know, it has to be 360. That's the only way you can really, you know, make sure this place or this area is really secure, right? So I think it's a given that drone is the solution for this. So there's no escaping it, that it will be the standard. I think it's probably going to be very soon. I don't know when, but it's going to be soon. So before that, I will talk about the potential. Yeah. So obviously, security and surveillance is one of the most bigger or important areas of service for us. Let's put it into perspective. So maybe the listener, the audience can tell themselves, is it big or not? Yeah. So if we talk about security, we cannot escape to talk about defense and military, right? So military, everyone knows the expenditure is massive. Yeah. For example, it's very normal that countries spend like 2%, 3% of their GDP on defense and military alone, right? And a country like Israel, they spend like what, 5%, which is crazy. So that is the kind of money that people are willing to spend on security. But let's not talk about defense, because that is, obviously, if you ask me personally, military and defense is probably bigger than what, inspection and mapping. So, but we talk about drone service itself. This year, the market size is, I think, mentioned by also Safwan in the video, by PwC, the study, $127 billion this year expected. That is big, but also Farhan also mentioned, for security and surveillance alone, it's $10 billion for this year. So if you ask me, globally, $10 billion, it's not massive. It's not massive enough for everyone to go into, to enter and to chase and to penetrate into the market, right? So if you talk about Malaysia, it's probably definitely much smaller than that. But we don't want to talk about what it is right now. We want to talk about the potential. So the potential is definitely there. Yeah. So for us, we've seen growing interest from customers, be it in the developed world, be it in the developing world, you know, because we want to look at both. In the developed world, obviously, it's pretty mature. You know, countries like Slovenia, I'm not sure if that's considered developed or not, but in Slovenia, you know, people use drone very extensively for security and surveillance, for, let's say, pipeline monitoring, for any kind of asset management. But in the developing world, I can say it's not that fast. It's still picking up. I don't want to deny the size, because, for example, we are doing work with ConocoPhillips in Indonesia. You know, as a developing country, fairly, not a small job by any means. So it means it's there. Why? Because cost is a big factor. So countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, cost it's quite a, you know, many companies or many entities, organizations are price sensitive. So you want to make sure that you can tackle that before you enter successfully. I also want to talk about the limitations for drones. Yeah, there's I think Dr. Shane mentioned about the battery, GPS, and also the latency. So battery, so if you want to talk about security, you want a 360-degree kind of security. You want to make sure that the drone can fly as long as you wish, right? You don't want to use a drone that can fly for half an hour to secure a perimeter for your pipeline. But for us at TerraDrone, our fixed-wing drones can fly for 3.5 hours, for example. So if we use like a few of these, and you know, we keep changing the batteries, we can prolong it, and then we can even have a 24-hour kind of surveillance, security and surveillance. But of course, again, cost is a big issue. I wouldn't say a big issue, but it's a factor. So it depends. So on the client side, where are they? How much are they willing to pay for it, and what is the requirement that they have, what that they need? I think the technology is I would say it's ready, but the market, that's a question. Are they ready or not? Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much, Firdaus. And I think in relation to ensuring that the clients are accepting, as well as ensuring that the regulation is ready, I think for us in Malaysia right now, things are moving really, really fast. And because the CAM of the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia is now is already coming up with a new framework, which is being adopted by the EASA, which is the European regulation. So this is something really, really good. And I would just like to share a little bit about currently some of programs happening in Malaysia for drone companies such as yourself, Mr. Saravanan, Shenli, and whoever is not listening. So there's this program by MOSTI. It's called the National Technology Innovation Sandbox. So I think this is something that companies out there, as well as the clients, should explore in trying to use this kind of new technology to develop together with the clients and do it as a POC or a pilot. And because it also involves the usage of a sandbox environment to test flights, for example. So I think this is something that we really can help catalyze the adoption of drone technology in this security and surveillance industry. I would like to go to Saravanan. So like right now in Malaysia, so I know for sure I've been meeting up with few clients, for example, in energy sector, in the telecommunication sector, because this energy, oil and gas, telecommunication in any country, if you ask me, is really, really huge, you know, and these are high risk industries. So for you guys, for the industry and the vendors to come into this industry and to be able to approach the big corporations in this huge market. So what's the strategy that you think that, what is it you guys are currently doing in terms of giving the awareness, and how do you approach these bigger corporations to adopt this new technology?
So when we talk about this oil and gas and power, these are all falls under the critical infrastructures, and they have a lot of pipelines and power lines, which is very, very important for the country's economy, and also to make. So securing them is very, very important as well. Okay, so our approach to them is because there are some limitations on the drones that we can deploy to these kind of industries. It has to be X-proof. And the oil and gas industry have a list of drones that they prefer to be used. So there are some limitations there, like we are working with Forfang on some of the requirements that we have. Now, if I want to bring this drone to those industries, so I have to go through a big process of certifications and meeting their standards. So we are there, we are doing all that together. Dr. Shen and I have shared a lot of ideas, and we are still working on a few things. Nevertheless, we are also following their requirements, and we are putting up proposals which meets their drone requirements and also their whatever requirements they are putting in. And as a drone specialist, our main focus is to work with our clients, the SIs and the vendors who has already registered with such industries like Petronas or TNB and so on. So we become their technology partners. So they already established a relationship with them, giving services. So we add on our services with them, and we go together with them to meet the requirements. So that is how we are going into this kind of industries.
Understood. So like security business in Malaysia, you have an association. I believe there are hundreds of vendors, companies that is in the business right now, right?
Yeah.
So from your point of view, if to engage, is it easy now to engage the security industry players to adopt this new technology?
Well, it's a mixed reaction. And for example, if we talk about security, first thing they say is the man guard. So I usually say, no, we are doing electronic securities, which is the cameras, the securities, and so on. So people who have exposed to electronic securities, yes, because they understand there's a technology, there's a PC, there's an IP, everything is digitalized and easier for them to adopt this. But people who's using the conventional kind of securities, physical securities, some sites really need them to be there. So the adaptation for them is a bit slow, because for them, if you take them out and you put a drone inside, there is a loss of business because you reduce the number of guards and you put the technology inside. So to them, I always tell that it's not about reducing the guards, it's about upscaling your sales into the digitalizations of the surveillance industry. So I said sooner or later, these adaptations will come to place. So it's best that you get yourself ready now. But you start training your physical guards to handle drones and becoming a drone pilot, also a security guard. So in a way, you can increase the revenue in that manner as well. In terms of the other industries like critical infrastructures, they are already into it. They already know that they have a lot of remote sites and which has less men guarding them, and they are looking out for technologies. So drone is one of the solutions that they are sorting out for.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, Saravanan. So I think the key information there that we are trying to push to the market, to the industry, is that you need to reskill and upskill the talent in the industry. And I wanted to ask Dr. Shen, so talking about talents, right? So upskilling and reskilling the workforce in the industry is one thing, but preparing future talents in this futuristic industry, which is drone security and surveillance. So what do you see that we need, the universities, the academicians, what are the future talent that you think that we need to be ready with? So what should the universities be prepared for?
Definitely more software engineering. Everyone needs to learn how to code. I don't see a lot of coders out there. Right? So we really need to start, what Singapore is doing? The primary school kids are learning Python. It's also learning Python and C in their secondary school. I really think we need to do that.
So it's basic general general education on programming. So whatever industry that they will go into, it doesn't matter. What about the subject matter experts in regards to certain industry, like the oil and gas, security?
I think it doesn't matter as long it is like something like this. When you learn how to code, your mind starts to think more structurally. You start to think about algorithms, and then you'll be able to filter out your not filter. You'll be able to think in steps, in flow charts. So that is something that is valuable when you learn how to code. It is something that you picked up when you are coding. You know that, okay, this works, this does not work. Why is it not working? And we know how to debug stuff. It's about troubleshooting. And this applies to a lot of industry. So coding is a very important skill set that everyone should pick up. Doesn't matter if you're a cook or if you're a musician. Coding is something that will help you in your career, no matter what you do.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Shen. I think we'll move on now to the next topic and theme that I have in mind, which is regulation. It's a bit sensitive as well, and I think it is even more important in this industry, you know, because we have military, we have defense, security, surveillance. So I would like to ask Firdaus, because TerraDrone is a global entity, and you are in, I'm not sure in how many countries around the world, right? So we would like to know how the regulation is like out there in regards to security and surveillance and defense, and to compare it with our regulation in Malaysia.
Okay, so let's put it this way. So briefly, there are three tiers when it comes to the maturity of the civil aviation or their management of their airspace. So there's tier 1, there's tier 2, and there's tier 3. So tier 1 means it's properly and fully managed. Second would be second tier, where it's less than that. I'll describe more, but 3 would be less, and 4 would be 4 or 5 would be where it's not regulated at all. So tier 1 is a country like Dubai. Sorry, Dubai is not a country, it's a city. So Dubai has their own civil aviation authority called DCAA, Dubai Civil Aviation Authority. DCAA, I believe, at least to my knowledge, is one of the most advanced civil aviation in the world. In the sense that whatever drone that is flying on the sky at any time during a day, the civil aviation knows. They know who is flying, who's a pilot, what company, the height. Are they within the zone, or are they outside the zone? Are they allowed or not? Why? Because even before you register to fly, or even before you buy the drone, you need to register that you are owning this drone. It's pretty much the same as you're buying a vehicle in a country like Malaysia. And then even when you want to fly, you need to properly, basically report it and sign up that you're flying at this hour, at this time, at this location. So, when you buy the drone, you will be given a transponder, which will be, inserted and attached to the drone, which is how the government will always know where you are, where you fly, and whatnot, and all this information. So in that sense, it is properly secure. So the civil aviation, they can sleep at night, because they know that everything is within their knowledge, right? So you have I think in my knowledge, Dubai is in tier 1. In tier 2, you have a country like Germany or maybe Belgium, where they do have proper regulations, but they do not know to the extent where who is flying at this location and whatnot. And then in the third tier, you have less than that. So unfortunately, Malaysia, we're probably not even tier 3, but it's not a bad thing, because you need time to properly regulate all these things. It's not like managing a shop lot, such a small area, but we're talking the sky, which is probably bigger than the land itself, because of the altitude and all this stuff. And then there's no way you can always put a police, a security officer to always oversee the location and monitor whatever is flying on the sky. So it's very complicated, very complex. So when I was based in Dubai, when I was in Saudi and Oman, you could see the level of maturity of the regulations. And here in Malaysia, I can basically basically compare where we are, but we're still early. But I'm not sure if this is appropriate for me to mention, but you know, we've been speaking to the authority as well, and then we know that they're working very hard on this. And of course, at this point, there is no clear regulations and policy, but it's going to be live next year. I think Q2. Q2 2021. This is where registrations of all drones will be compulsory, and then I think also the drone pilots will be, will be required to have a proper certificate approved by the CAAM, and then the proper UTM unmanned traffic management system will be soft launched, and all these new things will be happening, which is going to be very exciting next year.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Firdaus. I want to go to Mr. Saura next, regarding regulation as well. So I think you've been around and you are also involved in an association called MUDAS. So I would like to get you to talk a little bit about that and how MUDAS and yourself and the industry, in Malaysia, what is our role to work together with the regulators to ensure, part of it is to improve the improvement of the regulation itself. But aside to that, on the awareness side of the people out there who are currently flying their own drones and all this, because eventually it affects the drone and security surveillance market out there, right? What can you share a bit about that?
This is a very interesting thing to share. Okay, I'll start with MUDAS. Okay, MUDAS is a Malaysian UAV drone activist society. It has been there for a long time, and our main role, I just started being their partner not so long ago. Their main role is to advocate safe flying, and they have been the middle person between the authorities and also the person who likes to have the drone, the hobbyists, and also industry players as well. Mm-hmm. So it all started when there was a news that there's going to be a blanket issues to drones operationing in Malaysia. So MUDAS took the role to go and meet the CAM and start telling them how the drone is being operated in Malaysia, what these guys are doing, where they are flying, and so on. And then once that the regulatories has given them the rules and regulations, at that time we are using Chicago Conventions AIC 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So there it says that you can fly any drones below 20 kilograms. Okay, you don't need to have a PPL for that. You have to fly at 400 feet, which is 122 meters and below. You have to get yourself a proper permit to fly when there is, you're doing an operation of drone commercially. Okay, so you have to get it from JUPEM first. JUPEM is Jabatan Pemerintah Malaysia. So your first application goes to JUPEM. Then JUPEM is where they take care of these sensitive sites. They want to know where you're flying. Okay, it's also manned by the armies as well there. Okay, so they see where you're flying, whether there is a special permit required or the place you're flying is okay. If the place has no issues, they will give you the permit. There is a fees to it, 50 ringgit per day. Once you pay that fees, you get that JUPEM's certification. You take that to CAM then you give it to CAM saying that JUPEM has agreed to allow us to fly. Then CAM will look into that and they will see you have met all. They have their forms. You fill the form accordingly, the coordinates, the GPS that you're going to operate, at what height. If it is below 50 meters height, you don't need to do NOTAM. If it is above 50, then you have to do NOTAM. Then they will give you all that. And then if it is a place where you need to get Majlis Perbandaran's approval, then you have to get the Majlis Perbandaran's approval, like DBKL or Perbadanan Putrajaya. In Perbadanan Putrajaya, it works the other way around because it's gazetted as a no-fly zone. So you have to get the approval from Perbadanan Putrajaya first before you even go to JUPEM or CAM. So if you have a proper PO saying that why you are doing it and Putrajaya is agreeable to it, then you go there. So MUDAS has been advocating this to the members and also the public. They have done a lot of awareness campaign, name it in TVs or in Facebooks or in a lot of events, okay, and they've been doing that. And for us also the same. All the operations that we are doing commercially, we make sure that everything has the permit. And this year, there was a new thing started after the COVID, that all drone must have CDM certifications. So everyone was like looking up and down, and there's something new here. But it was not new; it was there earlier. It's just that now it has been mandatory. So I think as things are progressing, there will be a lot of mandatory requirements that we have to fulfill in order to get our drones up into the air. And well, I welcome CAM's initiative to have a UTM, because it becomes a controlled airspace. Then when you have a controlled airspace, that is the right airspace for commercial players like us. And it also eliminates these people who are rogue drone operators. There must be a way that CM should also be able to detect these guys coming like this. You can start penalizing them if you have a proper UTM. It also stops taking photos of critical infrastructures and posing it into that. I'm not here to say what they are doing is right or wrong. It's their own thing. There's a regulation, you follow the regulation, because if one person doesn't follow the regulation, it becomes difficult for us to move forward. If suddenly CM says freeze all flight, then it's difficult for us to move forward, because our business is only drones. We build, we sell. So we don't want such incidents to happen.
Understood.
I would suggest that any new guys who don't know about this can always call up Mudas or join any drone associations, try to understand what is the regulations, and then find places that we can fly safely and fly there accordingly.
Got it. Thank you so much, Saravanan. And I think just for everyone's information, I think right now in Malaysia, we have like over 28,000 hobbyists, drone hobbyists out there, currently flying their drones, the smaller drones, the DJI drones, the Telos, and we even have programs, educational programs that are promoting school students to fly their drones in their areas. But more importantly is that we are trying to ensure, even the hobbyists, they know and understand the rules and regulations. What's it all about? Why is it there for? And I think eventually everyone needs to understand that we are sharing this airspace with other commercial operators, the airlines. So it's not just about the drone. It's not about trying to dampen the industry, the hobbyist industry as well, but it's trying to get them to understand the risks that they are taking, trying to do what they do. But as long as the risks are mitigated, I think that is something that everyone agrees that it's okay, as long as the risks are mitigated. I think I want to go to Dr. Xian next, talking about the future technology regarding drones and security. And I think, for example, right, in the early MCO days, back in March, if I'm not mistaken, so when Malaysia was on lockdown, and the government asked assistance from companies, drone companies, to come to the front to help the government use drones to monitor the situation, to ensure that everyone abide by the MCO rules. And one of the companies that MDEC is working with, which was Aerodyne, had deployed their resources all over Malaysia to assist the government, the authority, and we were surprised that once they were deployed, their services together with the authorities, it became a case study, and it is currently at this point of time is being deployed. The framework, the model, and even the company is doing the same services that they're previously doing in Malaysia in other countries and other parts of the world. So it is somehow, I'm trying to see, like there are some things that we are really, Malaysia is really good at, and we are currently at the forefront in a way. But to be at the forefront of the technology aspects, what do you think that Malaysian companies, Malaysian R&D institutions, universities, should put their money in, should put their brains in the peripheral technologies regarding drones and drone and security surveillance?
Where will I put money in?
In software detection, telecommunication.
I'll put money in the AI, in AI, in software. This is the piece of technology that is able to revolutionize the whole world. As you see, some of them are calling AI the next electricity, the next internet, that kind of a level. So that is really something really huge.
What specific AI application specific in this surveillance and security? Is there some vertical that universities and researchers should look into?
Yes. First of all, we like to have the drones have the drones fly automatically without any interference, without any control from human beings, right? So to do that, you need to be able to fly with a certain amount of autonomy, being able to make decisions by itself. It should be able to figure out if it's what is in front. Is that an object, or is it something that will pass away? Will pass by. And looking at what Skydio is doing, a company in the US, they have off cameras looking at all directions in 3D. They are able to trace the objects and also to predict where the object is going by calculating, I don't know, maybe hundreds of frames per second to find out. So to find out the trajectory of the object. If we have that kind of capability, drones will become a next level object, a next level technology. So yeah, I think we should be developing more on the software part.
Understood. Thank you so much, Dr. Shen. I want to go to Firdaus because I think TerraDrone specific have technology out there and specific to security and surveillance as well. So currently, when you guys are here and trying to expand your services and push your products into Malaysian market, specific in drones and security, who are you looking to partner up with? Or right now, whoever is watching, if they want to get in touch and partner up with TerraDrone in this drone and security and surveillance business, who are they? What industry are they from? Does it matter? You're on mute.
Okay. Right. So I think you're not referring to the client side, right? You're referring on
yes.
our side. How do we enhance whatever we already have to even improve and better what we are offering on that side, right? To the client side.
Yes.
So I think on both sides, hardware and software. Hardware, again, we go back to the limitations that I mentioned at the beginning. It's always about the battery, it's always about the GPS, and it's always about the latency. And then when we talk about security, it's not always right next to the KLCC kind of security, or right in the middle of Mid Valley where internet is perfect, right? Or Cyberjaya. But sometimes in the middle of I don't know, Sipitang in Sabah, or right in the middle of Gomusang in Kelantan, where this is definitely going to be a challenge. So we want to work with a hardware company, to be more specific, that can help us enhance this, which is why I think a couple of months back when I received an inquiry from a military organization that I cannot name from the Middle East, and then they were looking for specifically something that can fly for literally 1 month without stopping. And we do know about tethered drone technology. We do know about hybrid drone technology. Hybrid meaning drones that are powered by fuel, but it's not safe. It's fuels, and then a tether. It's not very versatile. It's not very. It cannot be mobilized easily, which is how I got to speak to Forfang for the first time. I got to know more about Forfang's battery swapping technology, and then which enables the drones to fly for longer than 1 or 2 days. In fact, it can go on forever and ever if you can plan and manage the battery swapping mechanism and all these things. So in that sense, battery is soft, you see. And then when we talk about GPS, this is, I think, too advanced and too early for me to say, because GPS it's not really something that you can just extend by adding another battery, you know. I can only say much on that. And latency, in the sense that, for example, if a company, they want to see a live feed of their asset in Kertik, and the project managers and the whole team they're in KLCC in Petronas, right? For example, if you want to see live stream, the current technology, I have to say, probably not good enough for them. Like for example, the latency for the current 4G, I do not know. Maybe Dr. Chen knows more about this. Let's say what 10 seconds latency. This is not good enough for a crucial asset management project, right? Mm-hmm. So you want something as fast as 0.0001.
5G.
Yeah, which is, yeah, there you go, 5G. So companies like this is who we want to work with, because you know, we have to admit, this is not our core business. Our core business is drone. So when it comes to telecommunications, we want to, you know, partner with the expert. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that will be on the hardware side. On the software side, of course, like Dr. Shin mentioned, AI, it's a given. It's very obvious, because just acquiring the data, capturing the data, anyone can do it. I can train my mom to fly a Phantom 4, captures the pictures and videos, and maybe live feed it to my computer. And there you go. My mom doesn't have a CAAM or whatever certification, but what's the business? What's the value in there, right? So the value is actually in the data processing part. But data processing, the tricky thing about data processing is that you know, it's slow. So imagine if you have thousands of power lines or telco tower data or whatever asset, oil and gas, whatever. So you have gigabytes of data. You know, it's not just one or two assets. They have like maybe hundreds of assets. So if you already captured the data, processing it would be the same as the traditional method, the conventional method, where you go through the pictures once again, and then which takes, I don't know how many hours, right? So where is the value again? So this is where AI comes in, where you speed up that process, you train the machine to process the information much faster than what humans can currently do, and therefore providing that value. So AI is something that is always, you know, still, you know, developing and growing. Scientists all over the world are still improving AI, you know, the speed and whatnot. So of course, as a drone service technology, we want to partner with companies like this. And in fact, we don't want to escape from this. We have to have our own, you know, AI team, which is why we have, I think, over 50 AI engineers in Japan, in Indonesia, in India, and so on, to, you know, to help us in this regard.
All right. Thank you so much, Firdaus. I think we don't have much time, but I would like to ask Saravanan one last question. It's regarding data, you know, the information that is being collected, because as everyone know, data is important, and using images data, the amount of size is really huge. And right now, everything is on the cloud. But due to the sovereignty of a lot of data by the clients, which in the security and surveillance business, I think it is really crucial. So how do you see that the clients are adapting and understanding, and how is the government should play a role in ensuring is it all the information and data captured, which is on the cloud now, either it's on-prem server. So what do you think about it?
Okay, one of the things that JUPEM puts in their permit is whenever you fly, the video or the captured data has to be given to them. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the conditions that your permit applications stipulate. You have to do that. Okay, so theoretically, when you're flying, you do that. Now, those for mapping and so on is practical. For security, it's like our retention is like 60 days, 30 days, 90 days. Mm-hmm. We cannot have a data which is just 1 day, 2 day. Mm-hmm. Because when we fly the drone for surveillance, it has to fly continuously with the schedule that we have created.
Got it.
So in the security terms, data retention is very important. So when you are trying to take data to make a case or whatsoever, something called watermarking, that is to authenticate that the video that you have exported and you are providing as an evidence is actually legitimately coming out from the device that has recorded it. Okay, similarly, there is a process to keep and also to take out the data. There is a documentation that you have to follow. So when we are implementing this drone surveillance, we also talk about this data retention to the clients, especially where the security team and the IT team is involved, where the data is being kept. Okay, so data analyst plays a role there within your team. So he has the responsibility to make sure that the data that has been captured and kept and stored in following the correct procedures. And whenever they are going out or in, there are proper documentations being followed to track who is copying it out. And watermarking is one of the way to make sure that the authenticity of the video is, or the captured picture and video is kept. It's a process that they have to follow. We educate the customers on this whenever there is. On putting videos on cloud, there is a lot of reservations on even my clients when I promote the 4G autonomous drone solution, whereby the control and the video is going to cloud. To them, we said that we are okay to put to any secure cloud that the client preferred. So it's just, because currently we can say it's encrypted end to end. Some clients still prefer to have a more secured connection. So for those clients, yes, if they have subscribed, we will just use our software to route it to that cloud. And then you got the securities there.
All right. Thank you so much, Saravanan. I think that's about the time that we have. But before we go, I would like to go one round. Everyone, 30 seconds. What do you guys think and vision the next 10 years in this drone security in Malaysia? What do you feel is going to happen in the next 10 years? Saravanan.
I think digitalizations of security is just at the corner. I have vision that there will be more private sites using drones to do their surveillance.
All right, Firdaus?
Sure. So just with anything, there's going to be polarizing opinions about things. So we can have the most advanced regulations and policies in the world, but there's still going to be people who are going to be against it. So I think the disagreements between two sides, they're a little bit it could be frightening, I think. I mean, because your question was about what do I fear, right? Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
All right, Shan, what do you think? What's in it for Malaysia next 10 years in this area, in this space? Drone and security surveillance.
There will be a lot of drones flying up.
That's a good thing, right? All right.
So don't do any bad stuff or you'll see.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. But before we go, I think we've got a few questions from the floor, but I don't think we just have the time. We will answer everyone's question separately later in the comment section. And I think before we end, I would like to share one quote from Steve Jobs, and he said this in 1997. I'm just going to quote him here. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. The only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So in the spirit of getting Malaysia towards smart nation, let's change this world together. And that's all from me. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Saravanan, Firdaus,
Thank you.
Dr. Shian. We'll see you guys, and everyone, please have a safe future. All right, if you are flying, please fly safe. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.